Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 5th, just yesterday was May the 4th, and it was a very special day because we had Mark Hamill presenting Carrie Fisher's place on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a lot of things happening over there. It was a real honor to see that, and we also have a lot of things going on right now when it comes to exactly what Disney and Lucasfilm are attempting to do to really course correct the franchise and to really pay tribute to the legacy characters, fan favorite characters, as well as a mixture of the preferred elements of Star Wars that Dave Filoni is going to be handling. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support, and without wasting any time, let's get right into this subject. Now, we know that Hayden Christensen is very much involved with a lot of upcoming projects. We know that he signed a multi-show contract deal already with Disney. This is why he will be, by the way, appearing in the Ahsoka Tano series, as well as Season 2 of that show, and in the Mandalorian Season 4. We've talked about this endlessly, and it is happening, and it's just the beginning, because now it has a lot to do with Hayden Christensen appearing in a specific Star Wars movie, so let's dive right into exactly what's going on here. Now, with actor Hayden, who returns in the Kenobi series, or who returned in the Kenobi series, I should say, that unfortunately got much fan criticism, unfortunately, for the show itself, not Hayden. He is now actively working on multiple Star Wars projects, one of which is going to allow Hayden to return to the big screen again. One of the big agreements that Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Disney executives shook hands on was a movie deal with Hayden to return as Anakin Skywalker and even Darth Vader in multiple ways in the upcoming Dave Filoni-centered Star Wars film. Given that Filoni's movie is going to serve as a gateway to becoming a new trilogy eventually, Hayden was called in by Disney to agree to a movie deal to eventually appear in the Dave Filoni film that will focus on flashbacks to Anakin Skywalker, as well as his Force ghost in present time. The flashbacks will also center on Darth Vader, however, through Ahsoka. The main focus is to bring Anakin's Force ghost to the big screen for fans and common moviegoers alike to enjoy his presence once more. Now, the plan by Filoni is to expand on the Clone Wars era flashbacks for Anakin, and that this plan is to make the movie into a near 3-hour film, which, by the way, could run anywhere from 2 hours and 45 minutes to 2 hours and 50-some minutes long. So, before I get to the next big thing here about what Filoni is pre-planning, is that basically this entire scenario that they are setting up for Hayden Christensen is to bring him back to the big screen. And like I've always said, patience is a very important thing. It's something that I think a lot of fans really need to cherish, because as long as it's going to be quality content, I am willing to wait as long as it takes. I can be a very patient person as long as I know what I'm going to be getting is going to be of value. So Dave Filoni made this promise a couple of days ago that he wants to make sure that this movie is not going to be just pushed out, rushed, and watered down. He really wants to make it into a masterpiece. He wants to actually think of it like the Avengers of Star Wars, but not treating it like an Avengers movie in spirit, but kind of just bringing all these characters together, serving it as like a mashup of the Mandoverse and some elements of the other shows in there that are not necessarily Mandoverse era projects. Moving on. Alright, this is where things begin to get a little bit more involved, is that Filoni, at no surprise, is also planning to bring in other creators like Tony Gilroy to help out, as well as Favreau, George Lucas, and other creators on his upcoming film on how to handle Anakin, Vader, and of course the Force ghost of Anakin, all played by Hayden, that will also use new ILM technology for the flashbacks that is going to properly de-age Hayden flawlessly this time. And the reason why I say this time is because if you guys look closely in the Kenobi series, we're talking about only some shots, not all shots, let's be clear, some shots. Anakin looks like he is well into his 40s, where he's not de-aged properly and does not look like a 19-year-old. Now, that had a lot to do with budgeting restraints on the Kenobi show, because de-aging at the time cost a lot of money, it cost a lot of revenue, they didn't want to go over budget, and also it seems like that at the time, given that this was a Kathleen Kennedy driven show, she probably didn't really care about much to do with Anakin and didn't want to invest all that time into him. But anyways, that brings us to the more important thing here, is that we know that Dave Filoni wants to make sure that the Skywalkers are going to remain a big focus. And we've talked about this, that this Dave Filoni movie that's going to open itself to becoming a trilogy is going to serve as basically a new sequel trilogy in a sense. Alright, so it's going to serve as a new series of films that will be treated as a new sequel trilogy because it's going to be all post-Return of the Jedi content. Alright, so on to the next thing here is that Filoni's movie is reported to be a mashup of all Mandoverse and Disney Plus Star Wars material into a well-paced movie that will make a near 3-hour film not drag or feel slow. Filoni is also set to make a big announcement of his movie by this fall to provide a big update. And about that big update, alright, we're not quite sure about exactly what that really alludes to just yet, but there will be a big update about Filoni's movie by this fall. Most likely has a lot to do with the specific release date and the overall synopsis or the idea of the story. We know that Filoni is currently working away with that film right now, and not necessarily working on the script, but he is in the notes phase and brainstorming, and he wants to begin writing this thing by next year. So Hayden is really getting the limelight that he deserves, and honestly, this is something that I think is well overdue for him, because what happened to the Kenobi show was very unfortunate, because not just because it was a Kenobi show, but it was the first project. Look at it this way. It's the first project that Hayden came back ever since 2005 for Star Wars, right? We have not seen him as Anakin or anything related to Star Wars since 2005 until he came back in 2022 for the Kenobi show. And it's just sad that for something that you come back to in years, got a lot of criticism, it just must have really hurt Hayden, you know, down to the core. So I'm glad that he's getting a lot of projects and offers, and especially the chance to come back on the big screen through Dave Filoni's movie. And Dave Filoni talked about his movie yesterday. You know, there's a lot of things going into this. I mean, they want to make sure it's going to be top-notch quality content, and he said that basically what you're about to see in Star Wars Ahsoka, it's going to have those elements in there, that way of filmmaking, so to speak. So look, I mean, I know a lot of fans right now are a little skeptical about the franchise and whatnot, but the Ahsoka series is going to be the first project that had zero Kathleen Kennedy input and 100% written by Dave Filoni, with no creative involvement from any other people out there getting, you know, in the way of him or blocking him creatively. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do with Star Wars Ahsoka, and the same exact thing applies for Mando Season 4 going forward, as well as other projects. So, yeah, I mean, great things coming out so far. I love the positive side of Star Wars. Of course, you're always going to have, you know, the negative and drama things happening behind closed doors, which is unfortunate, but it is happening. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below what you guys have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.